What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode here at She Talks Too Much, the podcast. This is episode 3, and I'm so excited that there have been so many people that have tuned in and listened to my podcast. My name is Ayla. I'm your host, and I am the one who talks too much. Last week's episode was 20-something minutes long, I think. It was like 20 minutes long, and I was like, wow, I had a lot that I needed to speak on in that episode. I don't think this episode is going to be so much or so long or have so much put into it. I just think that God really led me last week and was like, girl, you know what? I want you to talk about this. We need to speak on this. But this week, I've been praying. And this episode is going to come out a little later than the other ones did, but I was praying that God would put something on my heart that I would need to talk about specifically for someone. I don't know who the someone is. I just feel like the topic that I'm going to speak on, it's going to touch someone. It's going to be what someone needs to hear. So I'm praying for you. Just know that I am praying for whoever it may be, that God reveals His truth to you, that you are able to walk in His word. I come from a bad background. I have a really bad past. And, I'm pretty much anybody who knew me, they could vouch for that, and I'm not proud of that, but I'm proud of what God has done in my life. And I want to encourage you and remind you that God can turn your life around too. I don't care what you've done, I don't care where you've been, I don't care what type of person you are, you were. God has more for you, and God is able to restore, redeem, and bring forth new life from you. So I want to encourage you, trust God, lean into Jesus Christ. So I got convicted lately on idols and what idols are. This has been going on for like a year now, and I have come to know that I placed my kids and at the time my marriage in an idol position. I really didn't pay much attention to what was going on, but I had got so focused on my children and on my marriage and being a wife and a mother that I forgot that I'm a child of God. I forgot that I am more than that. Being a mother to me is the best calling you could have, but that's not the only calling I feel like we have. There are seasons throughout life that you're going to be called to do different things, and I feel like for a while I needed to focus on healing myself because I was newly sober when I got pregnant, and the trauma was still there, the wants, the cravings, the bad mental health, everything that comes along with being addicted was still there, and I was trying to repair that. But now God had blessed me with a deep, big reason to put forth the effort to get better, be better, do more. You have a reason to live now is basically how I felt, and so it was really difficult. It was extremely hard to do. I didn't understand mental health back then. I was 21 when I got pregnant, and I was 22 whenever I had my first child. So I was a young mom. And, being a young mom, I didn't have a support system. And I also, again, was newly sober. So I was facing so many obstacles and challenges that, only God Himself could bring me through. But I still wasn't completely surrendered to God at that time. I still hadn't truly accepted Jesus Christ and lived for Him, but it was a work in progress. God set in motion something that turned out to be what was going to change my life, how I was going to change my life. And looking back, I see God in everything that went on, and I'm so grateful. I'm so thankful that He called me out of the darkness, that I was in that grave that I had dug for myself, but He opened it up and He said, come out of there. We're going to go and change this, and you're going to come back to life. And throughout the years, the past 5 years, well, really 6 years, but, the past 5 years, I have put in so much work and got to know Christ and just put my best foot forward every day to become a better person. And if it was not for God, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have the life that I have, and I wouldn't be able to stand where I'm standing. I would be there. I don't even want to think about where I would be actually, because I came from a very dark place. So whatever you are carrying, whatever you are burdened by, I encourage you to give it to the Lord. I encourage you to say, Jesus, I can't do this by myself. I need your help. And that's what it took for things to truly start changing in my life. I had to put my pride aside and say, God, I can't do this without you. I need you to intervene. I need your help. I don't have the willpower. I've tried. I don't have the willpower. And that's really what it comes down to. We don't have the power to change our lives. Only Christ does. Through Christ, we're able to. Because of Christ, we're able to. You can't change your life. You can't will it. You can't want it. You have to pray. And you have to submit. And you have to obey what God is telling you to do. He doesn't want you to be perfect. He wants you to be obedient. He wants you to listen to what He's saying because He knows it's going to improve your life. He knows the plans He has for your life. And I say this in every episode. God has plans for your life to prosper you. He doesn't want you sitting in a depressed state. He doesn't want you staying in your addiction. But you don't have the willpower to truly change your situation, whatever it may be. But God does. And God needs your willingness and your submission for Him to come in and do it. Because God is a gentleman. He's not going to force Himself on you. He's not going to make you do what He's telling you to do. He's waiting on you to want it. He's waiting on you to say, God, please help me. Please help me. I'm the willing vessel now. Please help me. I need your help. I see that I can't do this alone. I see I can't do this by myself. And that's whenever He'll come in and, things will start changing, and I can assure you of that. I know that for a fact because I've seen it in my life. I've seen it in other people's lives. You read the Bible, it happened in the Bible. That is what the gospel is. That is the power of God. That is the radical transforming love of Jesus Christ. It changes you, and it makes you better. It makes your life better. It's not to say you won't endure storms, because I think that is a false teaching. It just gives you peace in the storm. You know who controls the storm. You know that the storm is going to turn out, for God's favor. And if you want what God wants, you're going to be content. You're going to be content in any situation, any circumstances. You might get a little riled up. You might still have to battle anxiety and depression, but you know that your God is telling you this is not forever. This is not where things end. This is not how things are always going to be. This is a season of life, and seasons change. So I encourage you, just let Jesus Christ in and let Him love you, because you will see a difference in everything around you and everything within you. So if you're facing addiction and you don't know how to get out of it, you've tried and you can't, you've been to halfway houses, you've been to rehabs, you've been to jail, you even been to prison and you got right back out. Maybe you went right back to your choices. Give it to God. That's where it changes. Give it to God. He does not want you to beat your addiction before you come to Him, because you can't. You may get sober, but you can't set yourself free from that. Only Christ can set you free. Only God is going to be able to change everything. You do have to put the work in. He calls us to do things. So we have to be willing to go and do what He's telling us to do. We do have to put the work in. He wants us to want better. But He's not going to force it on us. Because if it's not what we're truly wanting, then it's not going to matter. We're going to take it for granted. We're not going to understand how valuable these things are. Even the storms in our lives, they're valuable. They hold significance. They matter. If you're not truly set free from something, you will live your entire life enslaved to it. You're going to live your entire life wrapped up in what is wrong with you. Jesus is the only one that should wear the crown, but you're going to put a crown on whatever you're constantly facing, and you're going to make it sort of like into an idol. If you are constantly putting more into worrying about how you yourself can handle things and not how you can wait on the Lord to handle things. Basically what I'm saying is that whenever we start putting more focus on our problems, more focus on what we're bound by, more focus on the chains that's holding us, rather than the person who can break them, rather than the person who can change the situation, rather than giving ourselves to the Lord and not to anxiety, rather than giving ourselves to Jesus and not to depression, not to our addiction, not filling our lives, trying to fill the voids with our kids and our families and, whatever it may be, whatever the problem may be, focusing on Christ, who Christ is, the peace that He promises you. That's really just what I'm trying to convey. That's what I'm trying to get across, is that we need to stop focusing more on life and start focusing more on the life giver. But I'm going to wrap this episode up. I'm grateful that you guys keep joining in with me. I'm grateful for all the things that you guys are saying. I hope that you guys have a wonderful rest of your day and you have an awesome weekend. I am moving my podcast to Fridays because, it's just very hectic trying to get them done on Thursday. I usually enjoy the weekend with my family, and then come Monday, I'm trying to rush and get everything in order, work on everything, work on content, record my podcast, all that stuff. So I was like, you know what, give yourself that extra day. It's a week in between, like from Thursday to Thursday, and I know that, but I think that extra day, and then just being able to come Friday, I'm hanging out with my family, the podcast is done, I'm not having to worry about starting on recording it and working through the weekend and stuff like that. I just reserved the weekend for my family because even though I'm with my kids all the time and I'm a homeschooling mom and, stuff like that, there, becomes a time where you have to cut off the work part of things and go into relaxed mommy mode so that you can enjoy your family, you can enjoy your children. And I'm trying to do that more often throughout the week, but there is so much that goes on, and I'm just praying that God intervenes and helps me learn that peace of mind happens in every situation, and that I'm able to have that and be confident in that in Jesus Christ. But I pray that God blesses you guys. I hope that this has spoken to someone. Do not forget that I have an Instagram for this podcast. It's She Talks Too Much, the podcast on Instagram. You are free to send me messages, come and talk to me, comment, follow, everything else. I post a lot of content on there, or at least really I try to, but I also have a Facebook page under the same name. But God bless you guys. I can't wait for you guys to tune back in next week. I hope that you have a wonderful week.